In today's episode, Gina asks, I'm in real estate and 2021 promises to be a very data active year for real estate based on the market rise in 2020 and an expected fall in 2021. Would love to hear how and where you gain data for studies. Is it just via things like National Association of Realtors or other sources? So this is an important question because it's not just about the data itself. Data by itself doesn't really help us with anything. One of the things that we say a lot around the shop is data without decisions is distraction. We need to understand what decisions are we trying to make. For the individual real estate agent, it could be things like forecasting what's likely to happen to your business. Is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? What's likely to happen? For a firm like, say a Coldwell Banker, it could be macroeconomics, looking at the market overall. What are the profitability is the market? For the buyer or the seller, the individual homeowner, it's things like probabilities. How easy will it be for me to sell a home or buy a home? Will it cost me more or less? And one of the challenges with real estate in general, but in data specifically, is that there's a lot of data that goes into real estate. So this is where you're going to have an exploratory data analysis methodology that's going to look at three major things, right? Number one, what's the goal? Like, what is it? What are you trying to prove, or what are you trying to research? Number two, what data do you need to prove that? And then number three, what is the processing methodology, the algorithms you choose, the tools, the techniques, the process that you go through to analyze the data. And it's going to be an iterative process because there's a good chance that as you start digging further and further into all the different data that's available, you're going to find a whole bunch of dead ends. You're going to find some things that don't have even associations or correlations, and so causation is unlikely. And you may learn as you talk to people that there's some things that simply are unpredictable. They cannot be predicted. So let's talk about the data itself. Where would you go to get information like this? If you're an agent, obviously you have MLS, the multiple listing system, and that is probably going to be your best source of local data that you can find. Some of that information does get bubbled up to sites that have APIs, like Zillow, for example, Realtor.com. And Realtor.com just started sharing its data with the St. Louis Federal Reserve Bank, their FRED database system, which is really powerful because there's about 200,000 other data sets in there that you can use to bring into your analysis. So think about all the things that go into real estate. There is the home, right? The value, the local market, the price of a listing, how many other listings are around it. Those are all things that you would get out of systems like MLS, for example. Then there's also the economic aspects. What is, for example, the mortgage rates? 30-year fixed, 15-year fixed, variable rate, etc. Those rates can have a causal impact on the market. If rates are low, people are more likely to buy because they can afford it. If rates are high, that tends to cool things down. So you'd want to find that data as well. And that's something that, again, is available in the St. Louis Federal Reserve Bank feeds. Their FRED database is fantastic. It's one of the best sources for quantitative data, particularly anything economic that you can find. You're going to look at things like, okay, in your area then, can you locate household income or real personal wages and stuff, all of the things that would allow a person to buy a house. What effect do those have on the market? You'll look at things like search data from places like Google and the SEO tools of your choice. Those will help you understand where people's heads are in the marketplace. And you used to be able to forecast that from that data really well. Since the pandemic started, that data has been all over the place. It's been really messy, and so much so that it's not reliable for long-term forecasts right now, and probably won't be for some time. For example, I'm recording this on August 23rd. It's been about 3 weeks since government assistance stopped for unemployment insurance and stuff. And so that is starting to have real ripple effects in the economy. Depending on how long this goes on, you could have, large-scale bankruptcies, homelessness, all sorts of things that make forecasting the economic conditions, any further out than a couple of weeks impossible. There's just too many balls in the air. So those are cases where now we're starting to get into the processing discussion. What do we do with the data? Do we try to forecast? I would say no, but I would say any real estate agent or agency worth its salt should be pulling this data frequently and having near real-time dashboards of what's happening in your local market so that you can understand, these are the conditions that are happening now and how they might impact sales, how they might impact listings, how they might impact people's even willingness to consider selling or buying a home. Property value prices. One of the big question marks that's going to happen at the state and local levels in the next really 2 to 5 years, if not sooner, is what will municipalities have to do with taxes in order to make up for the huge shortfalls that they're seeing everywhere, right? And it becomes something of a vicious circle as people lose their homes. You have a smaller tax base, so you have to raise taxes on those people who are still able to pay taxes to finance your local government. Again, these are all things that are very, very difficult to forecast, but very straightforward. And we're not going to say easy, but very straightforward to pull in near real-time data. And you can pull it in from the federal level. You can pull it in from the state level, depending on your state and how into the 21st century they are. And all of that can be boiled down into things like dashboards and indicators that give you a sense of here's what's happening and give you like a 2 to 4 week horizon to look out and say, okay, unemployment rates in my region have gone up X percentage in the last 2 weeks. That's going to be a problem. That's going to be a drag on the economy. It's going to be a drag on home buying. Should be prepared for that. And if we're working with sellers, to say to sellers, look, don't be too picky right now on the offer because the local economy is softening, right? Or conversely, you could say, hey, things have really picked up. It's okay to be a little more choosy about your buyer because there's going to be more buyers coming out of the woodwork if you see that happen. So all of these processing aspects of the data are going to be really important. Where do you get started with something like this? Start with the business requirements, right? What do you need to be able to do? And then start looking for the data. You don't have to try and ingest everything all at once. You probably shouldn't, but start trying to identify what are the key indicators that have driven whatever KPI you care about, whether it's home sales or price or whatever. What are the drivers, the top 2 or 3 indicators that drive that? You'll be doing regression analysis for that. And then based on that, start putting together your dashboards. Like maybe it is mortgage rates and local unemployment and recent sale prices. If that combination of variables is the magic number that says this really strongly predicts your KPI, that's what you put on a dashboard. That's what you start to monitor. And you keep an eye on it and you forecast as far as you can forward reliably, which again is like 2 to 4 weeks these days. That's a good place to start. If you got follow-up questions, leave them in the comments box below. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and the newsletter. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Want help solving your company's data, analytics, and digital marketing problems? Visit trustinsights.ai today and let us know how we can help you.